Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Planning Board, March 20, 2024. We start the Planning Board meeting, Pledge of Allegiance, so please stand with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We've got a few housekeeping items, and before we start, we had continued on with virtual, so people are aware that we are doing Zoom, and we have our guy behind the curtain over there, and I'm going to read off a couple of things regarding the virtual in-person meeting. The www.zoom.us will get you in the browser. Then you enter the meeting ID, which is 754-663-912, or by phone, 646-558-8656. And the same meeting ID number is 754-663-912. And if you are out there and you wish to be recognized during one of the public hearings, then you can hit *6, and that will mute or unmute you, and then *9 to raise your hand and be acknowledged by the one that's overseeing the computer. So with that, the other item is on electronics and safety. So anybody that has iPads, iPhones, if you can mute them or put them on vibrate, that would be great. We also have, for emergencies, we have 2 exits, one in the back, one to my immediate right. Please do not use the elevator. If you need assistance getting down there, somebody will be there to help you get down. And so before I start, I want to seat Brian Fishman for Mark Connors. And in addition to that there, Brian was also appointed to a full-time membership versus an alternate, and that will be brought up on April 6th, I believe. So I'll introduce the rest of the board members, which is the Director of Planning is Judge Cioris.
Good evening.
Some of them are upside down.
They're upside down, yeah, sorry.
We have Lisa Carvalho.
Good evening.
And also reappointed again as Town Administrator's representative is Mr. Randy Chase. And again, Brian Fishman that's here.
Good evening.
And then we have Dan Healy.
Good evening.
And then reappointed also is Dave Gunice, Town Council representative.
Good evening.
And then we have Mr. LaRue for Town Engineer.
Good evening.
We have Mr. Malaby, full-time.
Good evening.
We have Secretary, Mr. Andy Myers.
Good evening.
We have Vice Chair, Mr. Dave Nelson.
Good evening.
And on the chair, John O'Connor. So, and with that, we'll go right into escrow. Excuse me. The project name is Denali Estates Phase 2. Developer, JAL LLC. Escrow account the same, escrow type, performance and the bond. Parcel ID location is 11059 Danielle Road. Please renew performance bond number 011212137 drawn on Ohio Casualty Insurance Company in the amount of $561,174.48 for the above noted project. The expiration date shall be April 5th, 2025. All in favor? Do we have a motion to accept?
You want me to make motion? You are our default motion maker, Mr. Grease. I'm disappointed.
I know.
So I will make the motion to approve as presented.
I didn't know we were going to play.
Second.
We have a motion, I just want to check with Owen. Owen, is there anybody online out there?
We do have a couple attendees.
Attendees, but none from the board?
Correct.
So, Mr. Feinha, okay, just want to make sure, because I'm going to call for, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? Going, passes. The next escrow, project name developer, Ashley Development LLC. Escrow account, Ashley Drive subdivision plan. Escrow type, letter of credit. Parcel ID, location, 08017, 37 Scobie Pond Road, 41 Ashley Drive. Action requested. Please approve letter of credit number 7000437-1, drawn on Enterprise Bank in the amount of $320,160 for the above noted project. The expiration date shall be March 10th, 2025.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain? I'm going to abstain because I'm a direct abutter to this one. So that passes. And you got that one abstention, right? Going into the approval of minutes of March 6, 2024. I don't know if there's no corrections or adjustments.
Mr. Chairman, I've one, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be the case or not, but I am listed as a member in the second paragraph and not as an alternate. It does state down below that I'm sitting for Mr. O'Connor, excuse me, for the vacant planning board seat. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to list me as an alternate
Well,
or
we
not.
made him a member by putting him on there to replace Mark Connors, correct?
Last night you did, the council did last night, but at the meeting of March 6th, he wasn't a full member yet, he was sitting in for Mark Collins.
But when we put him on the board, as from an alternate to the board, does he become a full member because he's sitting in for Connors?
He should, in the past, we've always listed the members, then you have the alternates, and then you would put down that he was seated for.
He's seated for.
So underneath, good catch, Mr. Fishman, it should say alternate.
You got that, Lisa?
Yes, sir.
No problem, thanks,
See any other further corrections?
good catch.
Seeing that slight.
Move to
technical
approve
correction?
as amended.
Second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes. There's no correspondence, so you're off easy today,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
as usual. No other business?
Nope.
Planning Director and Chairman updates. The one I have is for April 6th. That's when we'll be electing the officers, which would be the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. So that will be on the 6th. So
April
No, actually, April
Oh, is
3rd.
it 3rd? I'm sorry.
No problem, April 3rd. Yeah, I have no updates either, other than the elections, and like you said, that's our organizational meeting in April the first week, so.
Okay.
we're good.
So with that, you don't have any updates. We're going to go into public hearing. Public hearing is going to be 71 Birch Street, LLC, PID 28002, 71 Birch Street, site plan review, Derry Plumbing and Heating, parentheses. So with that, George will give us an overview, and then we'll turn it over to them to explain what they want to do.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you indicated, the applicant, 71 Birch Street LLC. The project is Derry Plumbing and Heating. Again, the address is 71 Birch Street. The purpose of the plan is for a new 8,632 square foot building for Derry Plumbing and Heating located in the Office Medical Business District. All town departments have reviewed and signed. I have the original plan with the signatures here. There are 4 waiver requests. There's an attached letter explaining the waivers. For the state permits, they've applied to New Hampshire DES for the septic system permit, which is pending. We have a copy of the application in our file. Staff would recommend approval of both the waiver request and the application. And I'll turn it over to Nick Loring, who's representing Derry Plumbing and Heating.
Before we start, George?
Yep.
What's being passed out, the only thing different on here, it's not a new modification of the plans, it's just color coded?
Just the color version, yeah.
Okay,
That's
just wanted to
fine.
make sure, because if not, we'd have to
Right.
change
Yep,
jurisdiction.
thank you.
Welcome.
Good
Been a
evening,
long road
everyone.
for you, you've been busy.
My name is Nick Loring. I'm with Benchmark LLC. We're the engineers on the project. With me is the owner of the property, Dave Benedict. We're here tonight for the application, site plan application at 71 Birch Street. It's tax map 28, lot 2. The property is known as Chutes Corner. It's the corner of the intersection of Birch Street and Kendall Pond Road. We were before you back in November for a subdivision plan. This lot is one of the newly created lots from that subdivision plan that was approved in November. It's 2.7 acres in size. It is in the OMB, the Office Medical Business District. Our proposal is for an 8,632 square foot commercial building for dairy plumbing and heating. Of that 8,632, the second floor is going to take up 3,000 square feet, and that's for the office on the second floor. The remaining square footage is on the first floor. The breakdown of the building, there's a retail showroom and some office towards the front of the building, and the rear is a warehouse and garage. You can see the renderings that I had handed out. There's some two garage doors at the rear of the building. That's kind of where the business is run out of, in the garage area. We were granted relief from the ZBA to construct the building within the 75-foot wetland setback. The layout of the site, there was currently there's a couple of curb cuts, 2 on Birch Street. We're closing both of them up and relocating that driveway entrance across from the Speedway driveway that's there, the gas station across the street. So that pushes that driveway as far from the intersection as we could. And the same thing with the Kendall Pond Road. There's a second access out onto Kendall Pond. Right now, there's a large parking area from a convenience store that used to be on the site. So some of that pavement's going to get removed and cleaned up, and that'll be the Kendall Pond Road entrance into the site. We did put the majority of the parking lot and some ADA spaces up along Birch Street. That's the front access to the building where customers would come in and out. So that's the majority of the parking. For traffic flow, there is a one-way drive around the building. There's the 6 spaces on the northerly side of the site. We've designated those with signage that's for employee parking only. Those are the angled spaces on the left side of the building when you're looking at the plan. And there's the drive around the back. The intention of that is just to keep that more for the employees, and anyone coming in to view the showroom is going to use the front parking spaces. We have a drainage improvement, that's towards the corner of the intersection. There's a bioretention pond in that area, up at the very corner of Birch and Kendall Pond. That's our drainage. All the site drainage flows to that, and there's a drainage culvert that drains from that pond into the on-site wetland. There's no wetland impacts as part of this. As George had stated, we are applying for a site septic system permit, and we will be on municipal water. We've gone through the TRC process, highway safety. We've addressed all the items as part of that process. We were before Conservation Commission in October, and we did a site walk with them as well in October. I will get into, there is 4 waiver requests. They all deal with landscaping. The first 2, they are separate sections, but I had kind of lumped them together because they're very similar. That's section 170 64B1, that requires a 15-foot street tree strip along the frontage of the property. And there's also section 170-63A2, which requires a 15-foot parking green space setback. So we are asking for relief along Birch Street. Our parking there is, the requirement is 15. We're looking for a reduction down to 10. It's just, we're tight on space off the front of the building. We have minimum 5-foot parking spot, 5-foot concrete sidewalk. Then we have the drive aisle and then the parking spaces. So we held everything as tight as we could to maintain as much green space in that front. And the 10 feet is off the right-of-way. There is, from the back of the sidewalk to the actual boundary line, there's a little more than 10 feet or roughly another 10 feet. So when you're walking out there and you look, it's gonna be back a curb, there's gonna be roughly 20 feet, plus or minus. It does vary a little bit in that area, but there'll be at least 20 feet of green space before you get to that pavement. We do meet all of the planting requirements as far as number of trees, shrubs. Our bioretention pond does have plantings in it. Those we did not include as part of our landscaping calculations and planting numbers, so those kind of go above and beyond. That's more the stormwater portion. So the third waiver request, that covers the first two. The third waiver request is section 170-64B4. That's the planting in curbed islands. So the regulation requires that 25% of our trees and shrubs that are required to be planted in landscaped islands within the parking area. We've tried to minimize our footprint here and keep our parking kind of broken up and spaced around the building. So to start adding interior landscaping and get enough to put 25% of the required landscaping in there would be a significant area. Our numbers for landscaping were the shade and street trees, we need to plant 24 per the requirements, and the shrubs, there's also 24 required. So to fit 25, you're talking 6 trees in landscaped islands within the area. There's not enough room for us to do that. So we're really just asking to be able to move those plantings to the perimeter of the parking area. And the fourth waiver request is to section 170-63A8, and that's an interior landscape area. The regulations require 5% of your parking area be interior green space landscape. So we have roughly around 20,000 square feet of our parking area and drive aisles. So 5% of that's about 1,000 square feet. That would require an area roughly the size of 6 parking spots. So it'd be a significant area, and we're just, as I stated before, trying to keep that compact. And we did break up the parking spaces around the building to each side of the building in the front. And that's all I have for questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board.
Well, our procedures are typically we'll accept jurisdiction, and then we'll open up the public hearing, and then we'll come back to the board, and then we can have an interchange of questions and answers.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept jurisdiction of the site plan before the board for 71 Birch Street LLC, Derry Plumbing and Heating, PID 28002, 71 Birch Street.
Second.
That's gonna drive me crazy. Seeing no questions, Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman,
Yes.
Mr. Dan Healy,
Yes.
Mr. Grenice,
Yes.
Mr. Malavig,
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, we accept the jurisdiction.
Pursuant to RSA 36:56, the board finds the proposal as presented at this time meets the definition of a development of regional impact.
Okay. Mr.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Mr. Chase?
No, this is a small development in the middle of town. It does not meet the definition of a regional impact.
Mr. Fishman?
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. Healy?
No, for the same reasons.
Mr. Ganese?
No, there's no regional impact.
Mr. Malaby?
No, for the same reasons as Mr. Chase.
Mr. Myers?
No, same reasons.
Mr. Nelson?
No, no regional impact.
And I'm going to go along with the group and make it unanimous. So we've taken care of that one. Now we'll go to opening the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move to open the public hearing.
Second. Gotcha.
You'll have to split them. Cutting the babies.
What gifts?
I'll see if you want.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. The public hearing is open. Anybody wishing to either call in or show up momentarily, please come forward, state your name and your address. Mr. Provencher.
Seeing none rise online at this time.
Okay.
Seeing none rise, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion to close the public hearing. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? We are now closing the public hearing, bring it back to us, and it'll be an interchange between the board and yourselves. I only have one question. Back in October of '22, and then in early spring, on the TRC notes, it says that you're going to keep the monument there for Schutt's Corner for the 250 years. It's been removed from the current print, but still on the old print. So if you look up here, on these prints here, it's not on here, because you got the big pond way up in the corner.
No, it wasn't moved. It's not gonna be.
No, it's not moved, but it's not recognized as part of the plans.
It's not gonna be moved.
Yeah,
I did a lot of work to that.
there's no intention to move it. That's just, it was labeled on subdivision plan to be kept, but it is going to remain.
Yeah, because the October 23rd plans, 2023 shows it up there, right? So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it's
I
just,
know you
it's
made
a
point that
missing
you want to
label.
be there for the 250 years that he had owned that property.
Yeah, no, I'll make sure.
Definitely not being moved. In fact, I put a lot of time into that to make it look really nice and lights in front of it and flags and stuff. No, I'm a veteran too, so.
Very nice. Okay, that's me. Anybody else wishing to ask questions, comments? Mr. Nelson and then
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I'm looking at the sheet 3 and sheet 4 correctly, it appears that the snow storage area directly overlaps the location of the street tree plantings, and I'm wondering how that's going to work. Trees often don't like to be buried in snowbanks, and if you've got mechanical equipment, heavy equipment that is moving the snow, there's the risk of damaging them. So do you have any thoughts about how to store the snow there and protect the trees at the same time?
Yeah, we had just shown those areas as snow storage. We just really wanted to maximize the space that he could store it. It will be the shrubs we did try to keep out of the edges and out of those areas, the majority of them. So it would just be the larger shade trees. So that would just be something that have to be mindful of when they're plowing. The intent's not to bury them in the snow. It's just to allow them to get it close, but not something that they'd be pushing it over with a large loader or some type of mechanical equipment like you had mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Myers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was following along and listening as you were talking about the planting of trees, and everything that's been done at that site to this date has been a huge improvement, trust me. I mean, I think most of us drive by there because it's a central location, so everything that's been done, it's a huge improvement. It almost has like a park-like atmosphere, and I think I followed along as you were explaining that the same number of plantings as would be required, are going to be effectuated. But why is there a need for all 4 of the waivers? So that's A. B, do you need all 4 of them? I mean, what about the street tree strip? 170-64B1 in the front, there is 10 feet. There's no way to fit something in there in terms of plantings out towards the front to make it more sightly, for lack of a better word, along Birch Street?
Yeah, we do have, our septic system is in that area. If you look at sheet 4, it's shown, there's the landscaping plan. I also showed the utilities in the front, right in front of the building, in front of the 2 ADA spaces, that's the leach field. It's a long, skinny.
I'm sorry, by front, you mean towards Birch Street?
Towards Birch Street, yes. So between Birch Street and the ADA spaces, that's where the septic system is. So we did keep any of the trees away from that section as well.
Okay, but overall, did I hear you correctly in saying that, I just don't like the fact that you want all 4 waivers. Overall, you're doing the same number of plantings?
Same number of plantings, yes.
All right.
I want to bring Mr. LaRue on. Any comments, questions, concerns?
No, all the comments and concerns we had were addressed during TRC last round. Everything's in there.
Anybody else wishing to comment, ask questions? If not, oh, Mr. Grenice.
Quick question. Huge improvement for the area, building that. Is the color of the building, is that actually the color of the building? I'm just being curious, like a gray?
Say that again?
The color of the building, is that the actual color of the building? It's like
It'll
a
be
gray?
close to that. It might be a little more
being curious.
brownish, darker, but it'll be close.
In the exterior, is it wood or like ephes or?
The sides of it's gonna be metal, and the front of it will be metal with stone
Okay, all
along
right,
the front of it.
all right, cool, thank you. Like I said, it's a great improvement for the area, so I'm just curious on the
Thank
color.
you.
And you have some granite in there too, so I like it.
Doing my best. Want it to look good.
It's a huge plus for that, so.
Okay, now seeing no further questions, how does the board prefer, with the waivers all being pretty much in the same section, in the same category? You want to do them all at once, or would you prefer us to do it individually?
Why not do them all at once?
Okay,
I'll be fine with that.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move to grant the following waivers. LDCR Section 170-64, B.1-15 Street Tree Strip, LDCR Section 170-63.A.2-15 Parking Setback, LDCR Section 170-64.B.4 Plantings and Curbed Islands, and LDCR Section 170-63.A.8 Interior Landscape Area. After review of the waiver requests, the board finds that strict conformity to the regulations would pose unnecessary hardship to the applicant, and the waiver would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the regulations.
Second.
here we have a motion, we have a second. Mr. Chase,
Yes.
Mr. Fishman,
Yes.
Mr. Neal,
Yes.
Mr. Grenice,
Yes,
Mr. Malaby.
Yes.
Mr. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. So we got that one done. Moving on to architectural design regulations.
Mr. Chair, I move to find pursuant to LDCR 170-85 that the application as presented demonstrates substantial compliance with the architectural design regulations. This property is located in the office medical business district and meets a high level of compliance as outlined in section 170.84.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That passes. Moving on to findings of fact.
Mr. Chair, I move to find that the proposed plan does not alter the existing conditions which would affect access to the lots, ensuring the health and safety and welfare of the neighborhood remains unchanged as a result of the site plan. That the proposed development would allow for the ongoing redevelopment of the Chutes Corner area and help expand the town's tax base, and that the redevelopment project would provide replacing an existing vacant parcel with a new home and building for a local business, Derry Plumbing and Heating, and provide employment opportunities.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Moving on,
Mr. Chair, I motion to approve pursuant to RSA 676:4I completed application with the following conditions, subject to the owner's signature, subject to on-site inspection by the town engineer, establish appropriate escrow as required to complete the project, obtain written approval from the planning director designee that the GIS disk is received and is operable and complies with LDCR section 170-24-14.c. Conditions precedent shall be met within 6 months.
Second.
we have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Chase?
Yes.
Mr. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Healy?
Yes.
Mr. Grenice?
Yes.
Mr. Malaby?
Yes.
Mr. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. That completes it. Anybody have any issues with this here, has 30 days to go to Superior Court. So with that, welcome. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
You've got a nice spot right there, and it looks great. I walked that sidewalk today, and
Did.
boy, it's so... And the pond area, you can see where the high water mark was, and it is draining, so it's working. So that looks good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. Very nice project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
So with that, I didn't beat Grenice's record, huh?
No, no one has.
Yeah.
So, any board member comments? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just would feel remiss if I didn't advertise that we still have, I think, 2 vacant alternate positions, 3 now.
3.
So I'm asking anyone who thinks we have a lot of fun here on Wednesday nights and would be willing to donate some of their time for the betterment of our community to go on to the town's website and perhaps apply for one of the vacant alternate positions.
That includes male and female.
Yep.
And
Everybody.
I move to
Everybody.
adjourn.
Second.
Second.
That's my job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? We are closed.